Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. England and Wales and Northern Ireland had a census in 2021. But just to be different, Scotland said, no, we won't, don't do the census in Scotland with all the others. We don't want you to have all the information. We'll do it. But we won't do it in 2021 because, that's the same as you. We have to be different. So we'll do our census in 2022. And then they didn't. They failed. They screwed it up so very, very badly. It's still not complete. They still haven't got half the figures. They've never published it, and the expense has been horrendous. And this, of course, is public money from Scottish government. It's Scottish taxpayer money. Had they just went, oh, okay, fine, it would have been run out of Westminster. Westminster would have done the whole thing, and everyone knows how many people there are, how many schools they have to plan for, how many doctors, and so forth. And it wouldn't have cost the Scottish taxpayers anything. But, the SNP in their infinite wisdom said they'll do this, and then they've got it very, very badly wrong. And so they've said, well, rather than admit that we got it wrong and let, the UK government get on with it next time in 2031, we'll do ours in 2032, even though by then we still wouldn't have published the figures from 2022 because we are the SNP. Well, thankfully, there won't be the SNP for very long, and it is likely that whoever comes in after them will say, no, thanks. We'll let the UK government do it and hand that little particular power back to save millions and to have accurate figures. Let's have a look. So, pathetic SNP government refused to rule out going alone for the census again in 2032, despite the 2022 failure. It's too big a job. You don't have the people there capable of doing it. Look at the SNP. Look at them. Look at them. They're stupid. We know this. There isn't a brain cell amongst them. And they think they can do something as complex and as difficult as doing a census that they have never done before. The Scottish government and its civil service have never done a census before. So it's no surprise that they've completely screwed the 2022 census up. Meanwhile, England, Wales, Northern Ireland's 2021 census was completed, was done efficiently, 99.97% response. They know how many people they are, they know where they are, they know what provisions they have to make for infrastructure. They haven't got a clue in Scotland. And of course, one of the other reasons they don't really want to do it in Scotland is they don't want to show how many immigrants there are. That's the other thing. Hide the numbers. They don't want to admit what's going on. And so they can hide the numbers by, oh, well, look, the census, it just didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. And it's all there. Now, the chances are that the SNP will not be in charge in 2032. The chances are the SNP won't even exist in 2032. However, if it's the case that someone else comes in, let's say, for example, Labour, there's a Labour government in Scotland, and they run it, they undoubtedly will just say, no, UK. We'll go UK-wide in 2031. That's it. Because then we don't have to pay for it. And also, we don't have to waste all our time of our civil servants trying to sort out something that they just don't have the ability to do. Leave it to Westminster. Let's just benefit from Westminster doing it for us for nothing. That's the sensible approach. But like I say, look at the SNP. Sensible? That'd make a change, wouldn't it? Anyway, Angus Robertson and the Scottish Government's handling of the census was blasted after the Nationalists moved it to a year later than England, running up huge extra costs and getting a much lower uptake. And still the figures haven't been published. They haven't analysed them all. They haven't finished collating them all. Never mind analysing them. The Scottish Government has been blasted as pathetic after refusing to rule out going it alone for Census 2032, despite the failure of Census 22. SNP executive diverged from the UK government and decided to undertake the nationwide survey done every decade a year later, blaming COVID for this. That's funny. No one else blamed COVID when they did it on time. Odd, isn't it? And also the fact that if you've got everyone at home, then you know where they are. It'd be an even easier job. It's got nothing to do with COVID. It's got everything to do with let's be different just for the sake of being different. And who cares how much extra it costs? The people of Scotland will be willing to pay. Anyway, this went very quickly wrong for the Nationalist administration, as it suffered from a low uptake, with many blaming the fact that it was out of sync with the rest of the UK. Only 79% of Scots filled it in by the time of the deadline, with 94% needed to build a clear picture of the state of the country. In England and Wales, there was a 97% response rate. Oh, I said 99.7 or something. 97%, but way above the minimum needed of 94. With questions raised as to why there was such a disparity north of the border. SNP, 3 letters. Tells you all you need to know. Incompetence, stupidity, and an absolute inability to use their common sense. In embarrassing scenes for the government, the deadline was extended by an extra month, and a huge advertising spree was launched, with officials going door to door to boost the rate. It finally closed on May the 31st, 2022, with the rate increased to 89%, but still 8% lower than the rest of the UK and 5% lower than the gold standard. And it meant that statisticians needed to use other data from councils and new strategies to build a good base for the survey, which costs money. The cost of the census also skyrocketed to £140 million. Now that is a 120% rise from the last time it was run in 2011. That is an immense waste of taxpayers' money. That is a huge waste of taxpayers' money. The total bill back 10 years earlier was 63 million. And now the Scottish Daily Express can reveal the SNP executive refused to rule out going again in 10 years' time, or in 8 years' time now, when the survey is due to be done again. In a briefing note for Angus Robertson, ahead of the first release of census statistics, which revealed a larger and more ageing population than ever before, he was given a number of answers to potential questions. One of those is whether the next one will be 2031 or even at all. In response, the SNP minister was urged to give a non-answer, which was non-committal to whether the country will go it alone. Now, if he's not giving a non-answer, if he's not saying he won't, then he wants to. And this is it. He said, this is an important question that will be dealt with in our report to Parliament next year and in subsequent recommendations. Non-answers. They daren't answer. They daren't say yes or no. If they say no, it's an admission they got it wrong so badly last time they daren't do it again, which looks bad on the SNP. If they say yes, then it's like, well, hang on, you screwed it up so badly last time, why do you want to have another go? You're providing ammunition to your enemies. And so their best thing is to say, well, we don't want to answer the question, and go and hide in a corner. Anyway, the statistics are at the heart of the statistical system in Scotland. I've cracked this joke before, but did you know that 9% of statisticians are killed by apprentice statisticians? And that is how the apprentices become the masters. Anyway, he said, we have to concentrate on getting them out to those who need them now. He said, well, like I say, just go back one step there. This is the first release of census data. The UK, Wales, the rest of the UK, England, Wales and Northern Ireland released their first census data in 2021, the year of the census. It's 2 years later and they are only releasing their first tranche of data. That shows how bad they are at it. Well, they got one little old lady in a room just punching them in one at a time onto Excel or something. It seems to be. Anyway, opposition critics hit out of the lack of answer. They pointed out how botched it was in 2022. Scottish Conservative Deputy Spokesman for the Constitution, External Affairs and Culture, Alexander Stewart, told the Daily Express it's pathetic that the SNP are still hell-bent on diverging Scotland's census away from the rest of the UK after the botched fiasco in 2022, which went over budget and received a worse return rate. He said the public will be rightly furious that lessons haven't been learnt from this debacle, and that the SNP want to take on the same negligent approach which cost the taxpayers $140 million. They daren't not. This is the problem they've got. If they say no, it's because they're admitting they got it wrong, and if they say yes, it's ammunition for their enemies. If only there was a government that wasn't filled with absolute morons, incompetents, liars, thieves, fraudsters, traitors. A government that was for the people, not against the people. Every one of them. Look at them. The ones that are stupid need to go because they're stupid, and the rest of them need to be locked up because they're criminals. Coming up. Thing is, despite the absolute failure of running a census, the absolute failure to stick within budget and the massive waste of money. The very fact that they can't even use the information they've got properly because they don't understand what the information is. Their lack of experience, their lack of skills, and the fact that they daren't even answer questions on it. And yet you will still have these lunatic SNP supporters going, yeah, but they're doing a great job. Tick in the box. Goes to show that Scotland's education system has been failing for quite some time when lunatics like this are still allowed to vote. Yes, I'm really stupid, thanks to the SNP, which is why I'm voting for the SNP. You have to be mad or dim. There's no other reason, is there? Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Don't forget to fill your census in 2047 when the 2032 one's due to be done. Bye.